Hello and welcome to the third open house event, information night of the season. My name is Maria Saldaña. I am the program coordinator here at the Center for the Visual Performing Arts, and tonight is my pleasure to introduce you to the key components of what makes this wonderful program so special. Hopefully, you'll be moved by what we have to share, and you'll choose to be part of the program. Just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have any questions, if you develop questions as the program moves forward, you can add them in the chat and I'll be able to add them to the discussion. Kind of like Salel said hello. Hello, Salel, welcome. You're into ASMR. Okay, that can be very calming, very calming. A little bit about this program. The Center for the Visual Performing Arts is not leftover. It's something that used to be called magnet programs, right? So a magnet program, as you can imagine, a magnet, the way it works is it attracts things to one location. And so that term is no longer used in our school system. We call it school specialty program. So as a school specialty program, we are one of two programs in the school system, one of two high school programs that offer a very high level of skill training for students interested in careers in the arts. The other, of course, being Northwestern, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as we progress. Okay, so I want to go ahead and get started and to tell you more about this program. I'm going to reside here in this little corner. Let me see. So, yeah, let me move a little bit. So to tell you a little bit about this program, we are located at Suitland High School, I mentioned. We are the southern version of the program, Northwestern being the northern version of the program. We have been in existence for 35 years now, and students come from all over the county to receive, as I mentioned, the highest level of training in the arts. Let me see a little bit of information about us. So that gives you kind of an introduction and overview about how the program works, or what it looks like when it's in action, I should say. But I'm actually going to get into how the program works. As I mentioned previously, we are a 4-year rigorous high school experience. Oops, let me go back. I think I went too fast. We're a 4-year high school experience where students delve deeply in the field of art. So, whereas normally students are required to take 1 credit of high school credit for the arts, students in the Cvpa program can sometimes double their high school experience with just the Cvpa program alone. That is a significant feat, and it tells our college admissions people that you are someone who is very serious in pursuing a career in the arts. That is the result of the reason why our students get such high scholarships and are accepted into some of the most prestigious art institutions in the country. As you can see, some of our students have been professional dancers or are with Alvin Ailey, the Royal Ballet Company. So our students are in symphonies and orchestras across the country and actually across the world. We have some students, alumni, who are currently working in Europe and other parts of the world. So this program really can help you find yourself in the arts. That's our tagline. And so wherever the arts are that you want to do, this program can help you get there. This program, it's really about seeking excellence, right? So Cvpa is a school within a school at Siouxland High School. That means that all of the classes, a student who is part of Cvpa is part of Siouxland High School. You get the best of both worlds. You get the best of a full high school experience and the best of a full art school experience. And sometimes that's not a given. Sometimes when you attend just a arts school, you have to sacrifice the social and the extracurricular components. But in Cvpa at Siouxland, you can play sports and do a lot of the things that you would do in a regular high school. And our students do. Our students are leaders in the school. And so that is a great advantage. Took a long time to transition. So let's talk about some features. Let me come over here. Let's talk about some features. So how do you get into Cvpa? The first is you have to undergo the audition process. Actually, let me back it up. I should probably start listing the application because you first have to apply, right? So the application actually is available now, and you can find it on our website, which is, I'm going to put it back on the screen here, www.pgcps.org/Cvpa. That's not the one. So if you go there now, you can actually find the application. The application takes about 15 to 20 minutes, if that, not even that, probably just 10 minutes if you know your parents' contact information. But you should complete it with your parents because they should give you permission to do this. So you do the application, then you do the audition, which happens in January. But prior to that, we also provide students with an audition training, because not every student, we don't take for granted that every student may not have had an opportunity to audition. So on December 8th of this month, we are going to be conducting an audition workshop. If you are already signed up for that, we have your information. If you want to sign up for that, simply go to, again, our website, pgcps.org, and sign up. Actually, I'll put it up on the website, on the page. Sign up to be notified of upcoming events, kind of like you were notified of this event. And so we provide the training so that you can be best prepared for the audition. And then the audition happens in January. You schedule it at a time. Because of COVID, currently auditions are virtual. So that is how that will be happening this year. Some very specific and awesome features of the program, as I mentioned before, is that if you're a music student, Normally you just go to music classes, right? In a regular high school. But with CVPA, you go to music classes, but then you also have a private teacher to work with just your individual skills so that you can prepare as an individual to be an individual musician beyond high school, right? That means that's going to help you prepare for auditions, for college auditions. It's going to help you prepare at your highest ability for competitions. But more specifically, it's the reason that you want a private teacher is because you want the instruction to be tailored and targeted to the things that you specifically need. Maybe not everyone needs lesson on breath control if you play a wind or a brass instrument, but maybe you need that, and so then you get that individual coaching so that you can get to where you're trying to be. That is a very expensive thing if you had to do it on your own, because private lessons are about $60 a lesson, and that's on the low end. If you had to do that on your own, but the program provides it at least one lesson a week for 4 years for all music majors. So that's phenomenal. What else? Pre-professional training. The pre-professional training, basically what it means is that for some of our students, if they wanted to, they can actually start working professionally right after high school. We don't encourage that because we want students to get an education. Our goal is really to prepare you for post-secondary. So this high school is secondary, and so post-secondary is what comes after that, right? So our goal is really to prepare you for college and to be able to get lucrative college scholarships so that you can continue that training and then be a professional. But some of our students do gigs right out of high school, and it's like their side job. So the program prepares you to be a professional. Individualized instruction. So within the program, you are in small learning environments. So even when you're in a full class, the classes are very small, with the exception of classes that are required to be big. Like you don't want to be in a small choir, although you can be part of small ensembles. You'll be in a large choir, a large orchestra, a large band. But for classes like music theory or what else? Like photography, drawing, painting. Like you want those classes to be small so that you can get a lot of individual instruction and one-on-one attention. Transportation is provided. Now, it used to be countywide, so I got to change that. And I'll show you the demarcation on the map of what transportation is provided for what students. So basically, if you know what Route 50 is in Prince George's County, if you live below Route 50, that's like right below Bowie, right at Bowie actually, like Bowie, Lanham, that area. If you're right at that line, below that line, you would get free transportation all the way down to next to Charles County. Any student who lives in that area and is interested in attending CVPA, if you're accepted, you will receive transportation daily to and from home. And so that's awesome. We are also an extended school day. An extended school day means that you go to school extended hours. And that is fantastic because what it means is that you have more time to delve into the thing that you love to do, and that you don't have to sacrifice your interest in your electives. So you can still take cooking, or you can still take website design, or these are other electives that you might want to pursue without sacrificing those classes to be able to take just your CVPA courses. So that's very, very good. Early career preparation, that's along the lines of what I said before about pre-professional training. But there's one more specific thing in that within that, you're not just preparing as a professional, you're actually also using the tools that professionals use. So like your music instrument is a professional instrument. It's not like a rinky-dinky instrument. It's not like a kid's toy instrument. The software that you use for areas like computer graphics and as well as TV production, they are the standard software that professionals use in the real environment, in the real world. And starting this year, each CVPA student will have assigned a Mac laptop in addition to their Chromebook. And that's because we understand one of the things that's been clear, particularly during this COVID time, is that the people who were okay employment wise after, when COVID happened, were the people who had the ability to work on their own and who had skills. And so we want to make sure that our students have the ability to do the skills within their major, but also they're delving into it deeply on their own, and that they're able to maneuver and know how to do editing software. If that includes part of your major. But even if it's not part of your major, like let's say for instance you're a vocal music major, most likely you wouldn't be doing editing because that's really another area. But if you're a music major, sometimes you might have to edit stuff that you submit for auditions, since everything has to be recorded now. So the idea is to get students to be as skilled in as many facets of the arts as possible. And so for that, students will have their own Mac devices. What else? Parallel access to professional and extensive performance opportunities. So whenever professionals come into the area, whether it's the Kennedy Center, Washington Performing Arts Society, the Clarice Smith Center, they come to us and they want to make sure that we are able to access their artists. And so our students in that sense get an opportunity to connect with some of the most cutting edge, current, vibrant designers and artists in the industry. And so that's fantastic. And then also, most importantly, students, like I said before, get a chance to get to experience the full high school experience. I'm going to click on this here so that I can show you this video.
I don't really talk about it too much, but I mean, I'll show them if they ask. So they'll be like, oh my gosh, you can sing, because they'll probably hear it from somebody else.
I would say that Ronald's probably in the top 10% of high school senior baritones in the country. These are the people that you see at the Kennedy Center.
Great student, plays wide receiver for us, plays outside linebacker. To be from VPA just shows you, well, yeah, he's a singer too. Yes, and a great student too. Oh yeah, darn good football player too. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can be all three.
How proud are you of your son?
I'm extremely proud.
Here we have private lessons with world-class teachers. Now I play football. I'm going to play at college, but I wanted to major in engineering too. Minor or major in AD and music.
So that is not an atypical experience. As I mentioned previously, the advantage of being in an arts program such as Cvpa is that you get to be part of the full high school experience. And Ronald is a prime example. He is majoring in engineering and pursuing his interest in music, and he's playing football. So that's what's possible. It's not what everybody does, but it is what's possible if that's what you're interested in doing. That's cool. So who is eligible to attend Cvpa? Basically, most likely if you're watching this, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it later, most likely you're eligible because it's students who are in the 8th and the 9th grade currently, who have at least a 2.0, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute, 2.0 GPA, and who are or who are transferring from magnet programs, kind of like ours. So let's go back to the 2.0. Let's say, for instance, you're currently in the 8th or the 9th grade, and you were not aware that this program existed, and now you found it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but my grades are not quite there yet. COVID really did a number of my grades, and I want to be there. Relax. What we want to do is make sure that you have the time to get yourself ready for that at the registration time. You want to get to that 2.0 as quickly as possible, because the cutoff for the GPA is actually quite low. 2.0 is not a very high requirement. Once you're in the program, we work with you to make sure that you stay within the honor roll range, and that's very possible. Don't get intimidated by that. But if you're not there right now, we'll give you the time that you need until registration come May so that you can get there. The thing is that you have to be honest with yourself that you are really trying. Talk to your teachers and find out what is it that, ask your teachers. And if you don't feel comfortable, speaking out loud, send them an email. Send them the same email. Hi, I'm trying to do better. I got off to a rough start. Can you give me some advice on what I can do to improve in your class? You would be surprised. Most teachers would be so touched for an email like that. And they will send you, or they will tell you what you need. And then here's the important part. Once they tell you what you need to do, you have to do it. That's the key. And so that is what we recommend. Anyway, that's the eligibility process. Then of course you have to complete the application, which is due when? December 10th. You also want to make sure that you come to the audition, which you'll be able to schedule once you complete the registration. No, that's backwards. Once you complete the application. And so here is what I was saying about the map and who goes where. This presentation has a number of hyperlinks. This is one of them throughout. And so at the end of this presentation, there's going to be a QR code on the screen for you to grab, and you'll be able to take this presentation with you. And all of these hyperlinks that I won't get to, you'll be able to click on so that you can explore on your own time based on what you're interested in. But here's the map. So this line here, this is pretty much Route 50, if you know where that is. And so these are the schools. Like this is Golson. This is, I can't read that. What is that? Kenmore, Everett Just, and Benjamin Tasker. And so this is where, like, if you're in these middle schools, but you live north or south, these are the students that can attend either or, depending on where they are, or where they live rather. And so everyone else who is in these middle schools is eligible to apply and attend Suitland High School CVPA. And as I mentioned, when you get this, if you don't know which pertains to you, like if you're in this middle area here and you're like, oh, I don't know, I could be on the line, I'm not sure, just click on School Finder and click on this link when you get the presentation, and it will tell you which is the one that applies to you. So let's talk about the individual majors a little bit. I did like a little brief video clip at the beginning for each area. And actually, I'm going to play it again. Do I have visual arts here? Okay, so we're back to, oops, that's not what I meant to do, the secondary school. So we're back to this, the visual arts, and within visual arts, we have these other areas of study. So the understanding or the way that it works in CVPA is that for the first 2 years, you develop what art schools call foundation, and that is, like, as you would think as a foundation of a home, or the foundation of everything, is the base from which you build up, right? So in the beginning, you get introduced to every one of these areas of study. So you'll do drawing, computer graphics, painting, sculpture, photography, printmaking, and art history within the first 2 years. That's a lot. And then for the second 2 years, you choose one concentration or two, and then you throw yourself at those classes, and you'll have double credit classes, meaning those classes meet every day. And so you just complete a lot of work in that content area. That is because that is what colleges want to see when they look at your portfolio. Yes, do they want to see a little bit of everything? Absolutely. But what they really want to see is you're achieving excellence in one or two areas. I recommend, sometimes students do two just to do two, but I recommend that if you really want to be great at something, that you focus on one thing. So drawing is a really great area to focus on if you're a visual artist, because it's the foundation of everything. It's like the alphabet is the foundation of everything in written, or everything that is written, right? And so it's the same with art. Drawing and painting is the foundations of everything, but then you also have sculpture, photography, computer graphics, and so not that you can neglect drawing, because art schools are going to want to see your drawing skills, and not just the photography and printmaking, although that is very important. Let's see what's next. Music. So within music, students have the ability to major in one of the sub areas. They will take, if they have a band instrument, they'll be band. If you're a piano, you take piano, orchestra, vocal music, and then every student takes a music theory class every year. And every music student has a private lesson at least once a week, for which they have a specific class. And so I spoke about that earlier, but I cannot stress enough how important and how amazing that is, because those lessons are free. It's free at Cvpa, but normally you would pay about $60 per hour on the low end if you were to do that on your own. So if you're interested in being a musician, this is where that happens on a very high level. Now, I mentioned that students who are within these majors are in those individual areas, but I should also mention that these ensembles collaborate with each other quite often. So sometimes the band and the orchestra work together to do a symphonic band, and sometimes vocal and orchestra work together. And so there's a lot of opportunity for students to experience a lot of different kinds of art, and like it is in the real world, because musicians don't work in isolation. They work with other musicians. And actually, here's an example of that. On the screen this was a time that the choir, the orchestra, and the band were on stage at the same time. It was pretty phenomenal. So now let's talk about TV production. So the field of TV production is booming. This day, if you own a camera and you know how to edit, you can make a pretty good living just doing that as a videographer. But we don't just do that, or our students don't just learn the technical aspects of filming. They learn the theory of creating moving art, right? And that means filming preconception, which is the storyboarding. So you have to first storyboard and think about what you're going to film. Then you film it, then you edit, then you figure out how you're going to get it to the people with broadcasting, whether it's YouTube channel or a showing event or what have you. And so they learn about writing for mass communication, writing for TV, writing for film. And so students get a real in-depth opportunity to do all of those things, and to start thinking about how to deconstruct the stuff that they watch on Netflix or, whatever streaming platform you're on. And dance. So for dance, students do everything every year. Every year, students take at least one ballet class. Every year they take modern. Every year they take world dance. I put ethnic African because that's what it tends to be, but it's world dance and dance from around the world. Their junior year, they get into junior and senior year, they get into choreography. They study dance history and dance production. And that's important because it's not enough to just be a great dancer. You also have to know how the how the spectacle of dance comes together on stage. So the students study lighting, they study sound, costuming, makeup, all of that. Because sometimes students will want to switch careers and do that instead. But in the event that they want to stick with dancing, the more you know about that, all that happens around you, the more of a professional you'll be, because you'll know what to expect, you know how to respond, you'll be prepared for your cues and things of that nature. And so students get to delve into all of that over the four-year span. And theater. So for theater, students focus on acting, obviously, but there's acting is much more involved than just what happens on stage, right? You know, for every minute, let me see, for every minute that a student, an acting major spends on stage, they've probably spent 3 months preparing for that minute, because there's so much that happens in the classroom that has to happen. And so that is one very important component of acting, is that it's in depth. Students learn about the different theories of acting. They get into the different performance styles. They learn how to do theatrical design and sometimes contribute, because we don't have a professional company that comes from the outside. So everything that's on stage is built by students. Our students are also learn how to do directing, both stage directing and technical directing. And what that means is that for some of our shows, our students are the ones who are doing the light cues and the sound cue. They're like literally running the show. And that is a skill that is highly profitable, but also very rewarding for students who thought they wanted to be actors, but now they find that they have these other strengths that fit them better than being on stage. And so a lot of our students find their niche within the theater community, to figure out, you know, what kind of career they want to do, which is what we teach. And this is kind of like a repetition of what we said earlier about, you know, why Cvpa. But to reiterate, specifically, students are in small learning environments. You get pre-professional training with standard instruments and software tools. I mentioned that students use the software that is used in industry standards, and because Mac computers tend to be, or Mac platforms tend to be the industry standards, our students also receive a Mac computer that they can take home, a laptop. And so that's actually new as of this year. So we're in the process of doing a distribution now, actually. So the students are very excited. But, you know, we recognize that we want to give students every advantage to be able to compete in the fields that they're going to go into. So that's the thinking behind that. Unparalleled opportunities to be part of sometimes historic events. You know, so our students participated in when the Obamas were in office. I should say when President Obama was in office, we sang at their Christmas in Washington every year. You can actually go on YouTube and find 8 years of that. And it's our students in the background. They also sang at his We Are One concert. We've performed at for the State Department. So, you know, the thing that is important to understand is that, yes, you know, they could go and grab any students, but what they're looking for is students that they can put in a professional environment and under pressure and deliver. And our students do that time after time after time. And so in that sense, we're very fortunate that our students get these opportunities. And not to be belated, but that they get the full high school experience. And you saw a clip of Ronald's story. He was a vocal major who played football, is actually now playing football in college, and is pursuing engineering and music. Our students, you know, 99.9% of our students get accepted graduate high school on time. I say 0.9 because there's always that one that needs a couple of more months, but it's so rare that that happens. But for the most part, 100% of our students graduate from the program. About 91%, between 91 and 95. It really depends because some of our students, some choose to go to work right after, and some choose to go into the military and pursue other opportunities, and that's perfectly fine. And approximately 62% of our students receive scholarships to go to college. And that's actually on the low end because I ask students to report and send copies of their letters, of their award letters, but we cut that off like around April, May, and they continue to get awards well into like July, August, and we don't see those. But the idea is that if you come into this program and you work and you want these accolades, you will have them if you want them, but you have to work for them. Nothing is guaranteed. Some program features that I think are winners for a lot of students. Our students go on field trips, like the dance department goes to the National Dance Festival and the Regional Dance Festival. They take turns. Obviously, with COVID, that hasn't been able to happen. That hasn't happened, but eventually they'll come back. We have international artists often come and share with our students their worldview. We've had a stage director from France direct a production of Othello a few years back. We've had artists from Brazil do workshops and master classes with our students. And if you've been on our campus or if you visit our campus, you'll see murals everywhere that have been done by international artists. We have partnerships with the Clarice Smith Center, the Kennedy Center, Washington Performing Arts, so many, the University of Maryland, so many local important organizations that value and are in awe of what our students can accomplish. Our students do internships for the TV production department. I mentioned previously where some of our students are engaged in pre-college programs. Some do the I forget what it's called, but it's at the community college. But we also have, like currently we have a student who's taking classes at CIA, which is the Cleveland Institute of Art, and she's doing that tuition free while she's in high school, virtually. And that's fully all paid. And that's phenomenal. Our students get to have high profile artistic experience, as I mentioned previously, with some renowned artists who come to us. And we are very happy about it. Our students come to Suitland to achieve mastery. And I want to spend a little time on that because this is really important to understand that this is an extended school day program. And so there may be, say, a student who likes to doodle. Maybe they have a passing interest. And although, we acknowledge and praise everyone who chooses the arts, we want students to understand that this is a serious endeavor. It is like a job because you go to school an additional 2 hours every day. Depending on where you come from, it could be a 12-hour day, right? I'll give you an example. Like if you live in Accokeek, or if you we still have students that live in Laurel and some parts of Hyattsville. For those students, they're getting on the bus like around 6 o'clock, 5:30 a.m. and they're leaving school at 4:40, so they get home around 6 or so. And so 5 or 6. And so that becomes a 12 hours. So the students who are doing this do it out of an intense passion. And so I want you to think about and commit, because the rewards are high, but the work is also a lot. Not to scare you, but just so that you understand that this is not a place where students come to have fun and kind of play with materials. They really come to work, as you can see our young artist doing here. But you would love what you accomplish within the program if you choose it. Additionally, a lot of our students sometimes are the only student from their school. And so they are sometimes afraid, like, oh, I don't have any friends there. Or none of my friends are coming with me. And that's fine. You want to choose the path for you. The people who are going to be your friends will find you. And so one of the great things, one of the joys of my experience as coordinator is watching young people who gravitate towards each other because they have the same interests, but they live in different parts of the county that would have never met otherwise. And so watching those lifelong relationships over time, not to say that this is what happens, but I had a parent text me an invitation. How do I say it? It was a videotaped wedding proposal. What is it? Yeah, wedding proposal. I guess that's what you say. Anyway, there was 2 students who were in the program who met in the program, and they fell for each other and eventually got engaged. Engagement, that's what it was. I couldn't think. Two alumni who got engaged, and so they're both now working artists, and they're about to get married. And I'm not saying come here to meet your spouse, but what I'm saying is like the connections that the students make here are life lasting, and they're real because they're based on common interests, respect for a common field. And even when they're not in the same major, just the awe of watching each other accomplish something that regular high school students are not. I shouldn't say regular high school students. That typically you don't see a high school student do. How is that? But yes, you will meet your peers here, your village, as it were. And so, this is really what it comes down to. Our goal is to get as many of our graduates off to college without having to pay for school. So the graduating class last year was 72 students, 73, I think it was 72, 73. And their scholarship package was $7.6 million. That's not too shabby. Now, that is not to say that they used every cent of that, because that includes multiple offers from multiple schools, and you can only use one, right? But they had the offer, so that's what you want. And so the thing is that students need to work hard. I said that before, but they also need to work smart. There are a number of things that students can do beginning their freshman year to make sure that they end up in the full scholarship scenario. And one of those things is, whether you're at Siouxland High School or Fairmont Heights or High Point, wherever you go to high school, take the time your freshman year to just focus on being a student. I know that it's so hard to do because you want to be part of everything. But the biggest mistake students make is they spread themselves too thin because they're so excited to be in high school. And then the thing that we're there for can sometimes get away from us. And research shows that if and when a high school student falls behind their freshman year, they spend the rest of their high school experience trying to catch up. And it's much more difficult to win that way. So I don't know if this is the right expression, but basically get the ninth grade year in the bag, as it were. Secure it. Make sure that it's as solid as possible, like a 3.0 or something. And then once you have, great study habits, and you've taken the time to do the work that you need to do, take the time to then start adding things if you want, additional activities, one at a time, and then take them off if you start to see your grades slip or your homework, coming off the seams a little bit. You want to make sure that that's the focus. I think I'm belaboring that. Here are some of the schools and organizations that currently, or that not currently, but that our students have gone on to, some with full scholarships, some with partial scholarships, some they actually work there, like Alvin Ailey, as I mentioned previously, and so it's a great thing. And these are some of the organizations that our students have gone on to perform in and were hired by. Disney should be on this. I don't see Disney. We have some Disney. Oh, there it is, Disney Performing Arts. So what happens next? The first is you are here getting the information, which is what you want. You have accomplished the first part. You're at the open house. And the next is, if you haven't already, complete the application. I'm going to put this back up here so that you can go to our website. Our website address is www.pgcps.org/CVPA, where you will find the link to our application there. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. It doesn't take very long. And also, I would say, for sometimes I get emails saying, I'm interested in your program, but I'm also interested in this other program. What can I do? And what I say to anyone in that situation is apply for everything and then decide later. Give yourself options, right? Do the science and tech test if that's what you're interested in. Do science and tech, yes. Do the CVPA, do IB if you're interested in that as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about the interaction with those. And then once you're accepted into all the things that you're accepted in, then make a decision. But the worst case scenario is when you put all your eggs in one basket, like literally, and then that basket doesn't work out. I don't know if that's the expression, but you know what I'm saying. Things don't work out, and now you have no options. So apply to everything and then decide when you have options. Okay. I mentioned IB. And Siouxland High School students have the opportunity to take IB classes as well as AP classes. Now, let me clarify. The students can take any AP classes they qualify for through a test. The same with IB. Now, IB certificate, not IB diploma. Students cannot do the IB diploma because it is, as I mentioned previously, students double their high school experience just about depending on their major with CVPA. Well, the IB diploma is a whole other diploma that also that also doubles their high school experience. And so there just isn't enough time in a day to do three high school diplomas while you're earning one. But what you can do is if you qualify, you can substitute English classes for IB class. You can substitute a math class for an IB class. You can substitute language class for an IB class. But again, those are on a one-on-one basis through testing if you're interested in that. I mentioned that at the end, you'll have access to this presentation. And so that's why these hyperlinks are here. So I'm going to click on this link because I want you to see the process for the application. And so you can go to that website to complete the application. You could also complete it on our website. You want to complete the audition in January. You will receive an email for you to schedule your audition. And as I mentioned previously, it is virtual this year because COVID. And so that's that. Here are the areas for our purposes that we want to work on just the high school part. And so when you think about the areas that you, sometimes I get an email saying, like, I have an interest in music, but I also have an interest in theater. And so what I say is, if you could snap your fingers and be in that career tomorrow, which one of those would you want to be in? And that usually helps students decide which area they want to do. I'd say do the thing that you feel the most passionate about, because when it gets hard, you want that passion to carry you through. And you don't want to have regrets like, oh, I should have had a V8. There is a 400-word essay that you can that you'll need to write, but you don't need to write it with the application. You need to write it at the time of the audition or before. You'll receive a link to the Google form to complete it, and so that's something to consider or to think about. I won't get into all those details because that's really more about the days of the day of the audition, but once the auditions are conducted, you will either be offered a seat or you'll be placed on the wait list depending on the audition results. And it's very important to specify that students are not competing with each other for seats. They're competing with themselves. Let me explain. So for instance, sometimes I get asked, well, how many seats are there available? In a way, infinite, right? In a way. But I say that because if we graduate 3 students who are, let's say, woodwind instruments, and then the following year we get 30 students who are amazing woodwind, who are amazing woodwind artists or woodwind musicians, who maybe not 30, let's say 15, because that's unrealistic. Let's say we get 15 students who are all amazing and can all do all of the things that are required of a student who is a woodwind instrumentalist to be at Siouxland High School. We will accept the 15. And that is because it's not about we graduated 3 and now we can only take 3. It's really about who is out there who needs this training and how do we get them here. Now, the band director is going to have to then do some creative things to make sure that everyone in that, everyone who is part of that 15 has an opportunity to be on stage, because you can't have a band that is that off balance, right? But that's what I mean by that. So it's really about who shows up and how ready they are, as opposed to that person is competing with that person for that seat. I hope that makes sense. First, you and I be offered a spot. Yeah, if you submit an application, for instance, but then you don't show up to the audition, nothing further can happen. That you pretty much gave yourself your own answer. And if you come to the audition, but you didn't do the application or you didn't submit the documents that were required, then that also is an incomplete process. So you want to make sure that you're on top of all of that. I won't read all of these to you, but if you have any questions, you can email me and you'll see my email address, since I'm the one that's speaking to you now, or you can email the Arts at Application link, which is the county's page. There's a host of people who are here to help. And so this is the link that you can explore on your own. But I can't emphasize enough, you want to make sure you get it by December 10th. So then what happens, you want to attend, the next thing is to attend. Ooh, that's not the right date. It's actually December 8th. The audition workshop is December 8th, and I'm going to change that on there. But to attend, you want to go to our website and sign up for upcoming events. There's you probably already did, so if you got this message, but that is a way that you can receive notifications of things when they happen. You also, as I mentioned, will have the audition in January. The results are available about a month later. And then it's registration time. And for registration, come on now. This transition is taking a long time. I would say around January, start gathering all of the documents that you're going to need for registration, because the registration is like a brand new student registration. So you'll need the child's birth certificate. You will need their shot record. You will need proof of residence. You will need usually 2 forms, either like a mortgage statement and a major bill or major utility bill, or something to that effect. And you will get that information. You can also go on the registration page on pgcps.org to see what those things that are required. But that's really, really important, because students come from all over the county, the registration process is different than regular students who are going to their local schools. The plan for transporting all those students across the county is not a small thing. And so the transportation department needs all of the time, the whole summer really, to hire the drivers, to train them, to create the stops. And so if we don't have, how do I say this? If we have an incomplete list of stops, then when the school year starts, the chances are that the children who did not complete the registration process in time will not have transportation in time. And what that turns into is parents having to transport their children for about a month. So to avoid all of that, you want to have all your documents, all your ducks in a row, so that as soon as you get your acceptance letter, because we're thinking positive, right? As soon as you get your acceptance letter, you will just be ready to do the registration and good to go. And then that's that. And you're going to have a great summer, and join us after the end of summer for a fantastic experience. So what's next? You have any questions? You can visit us online on our webpage, or you can email me. Again, I am María Saldaña. Yo hablo español. Actually, español es mi primera lengua. So if you would like for me to do this in Spanish, or to clarify some things that maybe were not as clear, I'd be more than glad to do so. Si le gustaría que lo diga en español para claridad, sería un placer para mí. Just let me know, and I'll be glad to do that. And as promised, actually, I don't take for granted that, many of our students are not familiar with our campus. So I want to take the time to show you what our campus looks like. It's really like a small college campus. Here you have this is Silverhill Road. If you are familiar with the area, the Census Bureau, I don't think I was pointing at the right thing. Let me see. How about now? Am I there? Oh, there I am. Okay. If you're familiar with, where is this? If you're familiar with Siouxland area, this here is Silverhill Road. So if you look at my mouse in that direction, to the going down, you'll find the Census Bureau and the Metro. And in this direction, you'll find Pennsylvania Avenue and Chick-fil-A. Actually, Pennsylvania Avenue is also right here behind me. It goes that way. Okay, so that orients us as to where we are. So this is the auditorium when you come in. Then this is the main school building. This is the technical academy. And then this is the annex building where most of the Cvpa classes take place. This is the art wing. This is music, and this is music on the second floor. This is theater. This is dance. Actually, sorry, this is dance. And let me think. This is, over here is vocal music, vocal and piano. And right here is TV production. So we are all over the campus. Our students have to maneuver and be comfortable with moving. Additionally, we also provide students with a bus that takes them from the back of the main school building and back and forth to the annex, so they don't have to walk if they don't want to. Most students choose to walk because they want to be with their friends, and but it's not a very long walk, and they actually can walk across the track here, so it's a straight shot. It's the equivalent to about maybe a block, maybe 3/4 of a block, maybe. And so, yes, do you want to know more about us? As I mentioned, you can email me, but the best way to see a longitudinal look at the program, or to take a longitudinal look at the program that is like long term, you can visit our Instagram, because then you can see what has happened for several years, as opposed to what's happening now, because COVID is kind of shut us down for anything to do with an audience. As promised, here are the links to our events. And actually, again, this is the audition workshop is December 8th. We changed it to give applicants more time. And if you would like to join the mailing list so that you can be notified, you can click on here, or actually you can take this. Not take this, what am I saying? You can use this QR code, and this is, well, one of these will give you the presentation that I just shared so that you can explore it on your own, and the other one you can sign up for upcoming events. There's also a Spanish version of this presentation, not the speaking part, just the actual presentation. And so you can access those, you can access that via the Cvpa present en español. And then also there is the English version, which is the first one. I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and hope that if you are interested in this program and think that you can excel in it, that you will give yourself the opportunity, give yourself this Christmas gift in the arts. It is scary. It can be scary. It can be daunting. But if you want to do this, you can do this, and you should do this. I've never had a student say, I regret doing this. I've had students that changed my mind. I think I want to follow this other train of thinking, or this other kind of study, and that's fine. And being in the program does not mean that you have to major in that art at college. We have a number of students who choose not to continue after high school in their major. But the important part is that the training that they receive in the program, the ability to think at a high level, to plan and to communicate effectively, those are skills that transfer throughout. Their ability to focus on a particular task for a long period of time, those are skills that transfer no matter what you're studying, and that college admissions people reward, because what they also notice is that as a result of being in the program, our students go to school an additional 2,500 hours in their high school experience. And when colleges are making decisions about what students they're going to accept, their number one fear is that they're going to accept a student who is not going to finish in their college, because that is the thing, that's how colleges get graded, is graduation rate. And so above everything else, what they're looking for is the student likely to finish high school? Now, if they come across a student who is applying to their school who has what they call not early dismiss, so what do they call it? Release time, right? They have release time. They're a senior. They met most of their requirements, but they decided that they're going to work, and so they only go to school in the morning. That student can still go to college, but colleges are going to be wary of that student because they already see the student checking out during their high school experience. And so it's unlikely that they're going to then rev up in college when it's going to get more difficult. Whereas a student who is in an extended school day program is saying, I want more, I can do more. And that is what our students get rewarded for the most. Yes, they're talented. Yes, they do hard work. Yes, they have amazing portfolio or body of works to show. But the thing that resonates the most is that ability to work hard. And that translates to any major. So I don't want to take too much time. I think that I think that I went over my time, but I hope that the information you learned this evening is helpful. And we're also going to, as I mentioned before, to do an audition workshop on December 8th. And then we're also going to do an application help night for people who need help navigating the application. I mean, it's really simple, really, but for some reason, some people still struggle because it is an app, it's an online app, and we take for granted that everyone does online apps all the time, and that's not necessarily the case. So we'll be providing assistance with that on December 9th, in preparation for the last 24 hours of the application, which was, the application deadline being December 10th at midnight. So you want to get all the applications in on time. Again, my name is Maria Saldaña. You have my email. I'm going to bring it back here. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put my email in the chat so that I can put it on the screen. And then that way, for anyone who finds it asynchronously, can still get in contact if they have questions. There it is. There's my email address. It has been my pleasure to speak to you about a program that I love and adore and have the honor of being part of. Have a good evening, and I'll be in the background if you have any questions for the next 5 minutes.